I think one of the biggest lies we've been told about sleep is that it's just this thing that happens when you get tired enough. Like you can run yourself into the ground and your body will eventually knock you out. And sure, sometimes that's true, but the kind of sleep you get from sheer exhaustion is not the same as the deep, restorative sleep that leaves you waking up clear-headed and full of energy. The truth is, the quality of your nights is built during the day, and the habits you practice over and over are what shape how well you sleep. I learned this the hard way. There was a time in my life when my schedule was a mess. I'd stay up late watching shows, sleep in as long as I could, grab coffee instead of breakfast, and then wonder why I felt like I was running on fumes all the time. I thought my problem was that I wasn't sleeping enough hours. But even when I got a solid 8 hours, I'd still wake up groggy and irritable. That's when I started digging into what actually makes sleep good, not just long, and I realized I was missing the most important part, the rhythm. Our bodies are wired for patterns. We're meant to rise and rest in sync with certain signals, light, movement, food, relaxation. And when those signals are all over the place, our sleep suffers, no matter how much time we spend in bed. Building natural sleep habits is about giving your body those signals consistently, so it knows when to be alert and when to let go. And here's the beautiful part. These habits aren't complicated. You don't need fancy gadgets or a perfect environment. You just need to be intentional about the way you move through your day and wind down at night. Over time, those small choices stack up into a powerful routine that transforms your nights. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the habits that changed everything for me, and for a lot of people I've shared them with. We'll talk about what to do from the moment you wake up, all the way to the moment you close your eyes. And I'll show you how to make these habits fit your life so they actually stick. Because it's not about adding more rules to your day. It's about creating a flow that makes great sleep the natural outcome, not a nightly battle. The first habit that really changed my nights actually starts the moment I wake up, and it has nothing to do with staying in bed longer. It's about getting light. Natural light in the morning is like hitting the reset button on your body's clock. I didn't understand this at first, but your brain has this little section called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Don't worry, you don't have to remember that name. That controls your circadian rhythm, basically your internal schedule. When you step into natural light within the first hour of waking, you're telling your body, this is morning, it's time to be alert now. And in about 12 to 16 hours, your body will respond by feeling sleepy. I used to wake up, grab my phone, and stay in the dark for way too long, and my energy and sleep were all over the place. Then I started making it a habit to go outside for even just 5 minutes right after I got up. Sometimes it's while I'm sipping my coffee, sometimes it's just walking to the mailbox. But that little bit of light makes a huge difference. I remember one week in particular when I was going through a stressful project at work. Normally, I'd have been wired at night and tossing around. But that week, because I kept up with my morning light habit, I actually felt sleepier earlier in the evening, and my body settled into rest more easily. It's such a small thing, but it sets the tone for your entire day. Once I realized how powerful that was, I started building the rest of my habits around the same idea, sending my body clear signals at the right times so it could find its natural rhythm again. After I got consistent with my morning light, The next habit that made a real difference was how I moved my body during the day. For a long time, I thought exercise had to be intense to count, like sweating buckets at the gym or running until my legs felt like jelly. But for sleep, it's not about punishment. It's about keeping your body active enough to burn off that restless energy. On days when I sat at my desk all day and barely moved, my body felt tired, but my mind was still jittery at night. Once I started weaving in little bits of movement, everything shifted. I'd go for a 10-minute walk after lunch, take the stairs instead of the elevator, stretch for a few minutes between calls. It doesn't sound like much, but your body keeps track, and by evening you feel this natural heaviness that makes sleep come easier. And here's the thing: timing matters. I learned the hard way that hitting a hard workout right before bed made my heart race and my mind stay wired for hours. Now I keep anything intense to earlier in the day and let my evenings be about winding down. Another habit that surprised me with how much it helped was being mindful about caffeine. I used to drink coffee like it was water, all the way into the afternoon, and then wonder why I was staring at the ceiling at midnight. Caffeine can stick around in your system for 6 to 8 hours, sometimes longer, depending on your body, so even that 3 p.m. latte can be the reason you're tossing and turning. These days, I cut myself off by late morning. If I want something warm later, I switch to herbal tea. It's such a simple change, but within a week of doing it, I noticed I was falling asleep faster without even trying. And the last daytime habit I'll mention here is taking short, intentional breaks to breathe and reset. Stress builds up in layers, and if you carry it all the way into the night, your mind is going to fight sleep. I started setting a timer every couple of hours to just pause, close my eyes, and take a few slow breaths. It doesn't solve all my problems, but it keeps my stress from hitting a boiling point. So when I get to bedtime, I'm not starting from a place of high tension. The beauty of these habits is that they work together. You get your light in the morning, move your body through the day, keep your caffeine in check, and give yourself little pockets of calm. By the time night rolls around, you've already done half the work of getting a good night's sleep without even realizing it. Even with great daytime habits, the way you spend that last hour before bed can make or break your night. I like to think of it as giving my body a gentle cue that the day is over, kind of like dimming the lights on a stage before the curtain closes. The first thing I do is literally dim the lights in my house. Bright light tells your brain it's still daytime, and your body holds off on making melatonin, that natural sleep hormone that signals rest. When I switch to softer, warmer light, it's like flipping an internal switch that says, "We're done here. It's time to wind down." I know it might sound simple, but it's incredible how your body responds to something as basic as lighting. Another big thing for me is putting my phone away, not just setting it down next to me, but actually putting it across the room or even in another space entirely. I learned the hard way that the blue light from screens isn't the only thing keeping me up. It's the mental stimulation. If I start scrolling, I might see something that makes me laugh, or worse, something that makes me stressed, and suddenly my mind is back in overdrive. And that mental reactivation can wipe out an entire evening of winding down. Instead, I give myself options for how to close out the day. Some nights, it's making a cup of chamomile or lavender tea and just sitting quietly, letting the steam hit my face feeling that warmth spread through me. Other nights, it's taking a warm shower that feels like it's literally washing the stress off my skin. If my mind is busy, I'll grab a notebook and do a brain dump, writing down every single thought, worry, or to-do list item swirling in my head. I'm not trying to solve anything in that moment, just getting it out of my brain so it's not keeping me awake. And I can't overstate how much that simple act has helped me sleep. I've also added a relaxation practice as my final step before bed. Sometimes it's a short guided meditation, sometimes it's just a few slow yoga stretches on the bedroom floor, and sometimes it's as simple as lying flat on my back with one hand on my stomach, feeling each breath get slower and deeper. That physical shift in breathing tells my body, you're safe, you can let go now. My bedroom setup plays a role too. I make sure the temperature is cool enough that I want to curl up under the blankets, the bedding feels comfortable against my skin, and there's either silence or a soft background sound, usually rain or ocean waves. The goal is to make my bedroom a place where my whole system feels safe and welcomed into rest, not a place of distraction. Over time, this evening rhythm has become almost automatic. I don't have to think about it anymore. When the lights go down and the tea is in my hands, my body already knows what's next. I'm not lying there begging for sleep to come. I'm already halfway there. And when you can get to that place consistently, that's when deep, restorative rest becomes the natural outcome instead of a nightly battle. Here's the thing I've learned after years of trial and error. Transforming your nights doesn't come from one magic trick. It comes from stacking small, intentional habits that tell your body and mind exactly when it's time to be awake and when it's time to rest. At first, you might not notice much. Maybe you still toss and turn some nights. Maybe you still wake up once or twice. That's normal. Your body has to trust the new rhythm you're building, and trust doesn't happen overnight. But the more consistent you are, the faster that trust grows. And one day you'll realize you're no longer lying in bed wondering if you'll be able to fall asleep. You just do. You wake up in the morning without that heavy fog, and you have the kind of energy that carries you through the day without relying on endless caffeine or sheer willpower. And that's when you know these habits aren't just about sleep, they're about the quality of your entire life. Because when you sleep well, you think better, you handle stress better, your mood is more stable, your relationships feel lighter. Sleep is like the foundation under everything else. And if it's shaky, everything above it feels unsteady. But when it's strong, you can handle just about anything life throws at you. So if you've been struggling, I want you to remember this. Your body hasn't forgotten how to sleep. It still knows. All you're doing with these habits is reminding it of the path back. Start with 1 or 2 changes tonight. Maybe get that morning light tomorrow. Maybe set your phone aside an hour before bed. Maybe dim your lights and make a cup of tea. And let yourself experience how different it feels. Then keep going. Layer in another habit, then another. Before long, you'll have a flow that works so naturally for you that you won't even think about it anymore. You'll just live it. And when you get to that point where good sleep is no longer something you're chasing, but something that simply happens every night, you're going to look back at where you started and be amazed at how far you've come. That's the power of natural sleep habits. They don't just give you better nights, they give you better days. And that's a change worth making starting right now.